the shores of Ganapati Pule, our hearts get united through your mother. On the shores of Ganapati Pule, our hearts get united through your mother. When we surrender, we are in paradise. When we surrender, we are in paradise. Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us. Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us. Shri Mataji, we love you. 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 Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us. Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us. When we surrender, we are in paradise. When we surrender, we are in paradise. Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us. Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us. Sitting in the heart of the universe, we know your love is flowing through us.
Today we have assembled here to celebrate the Sahasrara Day, which was opened in 1970 on this date. I find this beautiful canopy is like our Sahasrara. And so very apt to have this beautiful arrangement for Sahasrara Day. We have to understand what happens when the Sahasrara opens. When the Kundalini passes through the 5 centers, it enters into the area which we call as limbic area. This area is all surrounded by 1,000 nerves. And when these nerves get enlightened, they look like flames of Vibgyor colors, 7 colors, and very mildly, beautifully shining, emitting peace. But when the Kundalini starts emitting its vibration on the sides, all these nerves get enlightened gradually and start moving on all directions, opening the Sahasrara. And then the Kundalini, what's this noise about? Emerges out through the fontanelle bone area, which we call as Brahma Randhra. Randhra means the whole, and the Brahma is the all-pervading power of God's love. So it enters into the subtle energy which is all-pervading, which we do not feel normally. But then the Chaitanya, the vibrations which are the part and parcel of this energy, all-pervading power, the Parama Chaitanya, they start entering into our brain and showering their blessings in the limbic area they assemble. Now the limbic area is connected to all the area of the brain and also to the nerves. So it starts flowing onto the nerves, giving you the new awareness of collective consciousness called as Samuhik Chetana. So you get a new Chetana, a new awareness, which is showered upon your limbic area. The working of these Chaitanya waves is very interesting. They are normally formed like small commas, but then they go into different forms. They make themselves into swastikas as the four-limbed symbol of innocence, or they become the Omkara, as you know how Om is written, which is the symbol of our doing, our awareness. So when they form the swastika, they try to nourish the left side, and when they form the Omkara, they nourish the right side. Left and right sympathetic nervous system, they nourish. But Sahasrara is to be kept open is rather difficult for people, because it's a vicious circle. First, these vibrations should enter into your brain through the Brahma Randhra when it is opened out, and they should nourish your nerves, by which your left and right side open out, and so more Chaitanya can flow down all these centers. But if your Sahasrara is not properly opened, this process doesn't take place. As a result of that, the chakras don't open, The Kundalini only as very few strands is kept in the spinal cord, and the new strands cannot rise because your chakras are not open. So in Sahaja Yoga, it is very important to keep your Sahasrara open. Otherwise, there's a vicious circle. To keep the Sahasrara open is in a way very easy as well as difficult. As you have known in the Devi Mahatmya, that at Sahasrare, Mahamaya comes. She is a Mahamaya. Not easy to recognize her, not easy to know her. She lives just like you. She moves just like you. And you can never make out her real nature. She is in the form of Mahamaya. So at the Sahasrara, to recognize the Mahamaya is another vicious circle. You may say that why should it be Mahamaya? Should have been better as starkingly some other form. But any other form could not have worked out Sahaja Yoga in modern times. Because people would have been frightened and upset. And they would never have taken to Sahaja Yoga because they had no discretion already within them to know what is right, what is wrong. That is why it had to be in the Mahamaya form. In the Mahamaya form, you have to recognize. This is another test. Because Mahamaya you cannot recognize, while you have to recognize. But in Sahaja Yoga you have seen so many photographs which should convince you people mentally about this Mahamaya Swarupa. You can see mentally, you can understand there's something very different. Even when I came to Napoli, the policemen and everybody was given a photograph, and they all recognized that there's something very different. They all wanted to shake hands with me. This is one way. Another way is that you start seeing the blessings and you start seeing how you become so progressively better materially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Still on a mental level, most of the people recognize. But unless and until it is recognized in the heart, it's no recognition. Already the heart is surrounded by 7 auras of the 7 chakras. And the spirit, the Atma, resides in the heart. As it is on top of your head here, resides the God Almighty Sadashiva. So when Kundalini touches that point, your spirit gets awakened and the light of the spirit starts spreading. And it starts acting on your central nervous system because automatically the vibrations, the Chaitanya flow into your brain, who enlighten your nerves. But still, the recognition on the heart is not there. Even without that, you start feeling the cool breeze, you can raise the kundalini of others, you can cure people, you can do many things. But still, it is not yet felt in the heart so much. That's why we have music, art. All these things start opening your heart. But still it is not recognition, because recognition is a mental activity of the heart. How can heart have a mental activity? This is another problem you all can face, and I know that. That recognition, if it is a mental activity of the heart, how do we do it? Say, if you are a Christian, born in a Christian family, as soon as I see the photograph of Christ, immediately you feel it's Christ, it's something, yeah. Or if you are a Hindu, if you see the photograph of Sri Rama, immediately you know it's Sri Ram. You see, that's a kind of a thing, recognition in the heart. But the recognition of somebody living with you is very, very difficult. And you live on the cusp of your mental activities only. But to go deep down into your heart, what should we do? People tell me. Mother, how should we get into our heart? How this mental activity can be performed through the heart? Now you must remember that heart is absolutely connected with brain. Absolutely connected. It's not disconnected thing. If it was, it would not have worked. When heart fails, after some time, brain also fails. The whole body goes out of order. If the child is crying, please take out the child. Better take out the child. Something wrong with the child if the child is crying. So this mental activity of the heart is to be understood this way, that as soon as you see the danger, without even thinking, in a reflex way, your heart starts pumping more blood and you get palpitation. You don't have to think, there's no mental activity. Just you see, supposing a tiger standing before you, immediately the heart will start pumping. It's a reflex action. Now, how this activity takes place, one may say, is that because it is built in within you, that as soon as you see some emergency, your sympathetic nervous system goes into activity. And you start feeling the fear, you start feeling that there should be some protection, that you should do something about it. But you do not think, you just run. You run as fast as possible. Don't think about it, what I should do, where I should run, just you go on running. Away from the danger. And how do you do that? Because it is built in within you, all this, in your brain, that as soon as the heart starts pumping too much blood, it should just make the legs work and the hands work and you should run. Or we can say it is in the central nervous system built in, the fear. Any reaction, any response like that is built in within you. But the response to the spirituality is not yet manifested. It is manifested. It is all built, no doubt. But it is not yet manifested. And how will it manifest? That's what people ask me, Mother, how will it manifest? Through your past, you have learned that you have to be afraid of this, you have to be afraid of that. Also in this lifetime, you have learned many things. For a child may put his hand to the candle, won't be frightened. But a grown-up will, because an experience. With the experience, gradually you built in that reaction of reflex within you so that you try to save yourself. Now, what experience you should have to build that in your heart is the point. And the experience is of your own divinity, of your own spirituality. Once you start developing that experience, then you know that you are a divine person. Unless and until you are aware fully that you are a divine person, howsoever faith you may have in me, the recognition is not complete, because who is recognizing me is a blind person. If a blind person is recognizing me, it won't have that response of the heart. So first you have to recognize yourself to be a divine person, to have faith in yourself. We do not have faith in ourselves, though we are Sahajogis. If there's any problem, they'll write a letter to me. If they are sick, they'll write a letter to me. If there's any family questioning, they'll write to me. If there's somebody is bothering them with some questions, they'll ask me. But if you become introspective and meditative, then you touch that divinity within you. When you touch that divinity, you know you are a divine person. So in Sahasrara Puja, actually, you have to recognize your own divinity, that you are divine, by experiencing your divinity. How do you experience your divinity? That you give realization to others. It's a great experience to give realization to others. Not only that, you give realization, but you can tell about their chakras. You know what's wrong with them. You are quite confident. And mentally you know that Yes, yes, it's working. You'll say, without getting involved into it as I do it, you'll say, Mother, it's working, it's happening, it's this thing, that. But you never introspect. How is it I am working? How I am working it out? How I can feel? What has happened to me? What has improved in me? What has sharpened in me? What is the development in me? What is the transformation? Once you start thinking about it, the experience of your own being, then a kind of a feeling towards the Mahamaya develops. Feeling, again I say feeling. Like feeling of fear, feeling of happiness, feeling of depression, any feeling you develop. And this feeling, you could call a feeling of gratitude, feeling of love, feeling of oneness, feeling of joy. All this starts working in your heart. And then you feel the responses. If supposing the sea is responding to moon, that means it has that mobility in it to respond. A stone will not react to the moon. In the same way, in your heart, these waves of these feelings are created. By the experience of spirituality, by the experience of your own being, and then you start expressing them. And I could make it out. Such a person may not be so much talkative, may not know much about Sahaja Yoga, but in the heart he feels the response. Is something to be achieved. Because you know that the center of heart is placed here. The Pitha, the seat of the heart, is on Brahmarandhra. If your heart is not open, in the heart, if you do not have those responses built in, they need not be of awe or fear, but a natural protocol that develops. Then you can never do wrong, because you know whatever is good in your heart. Supposing you love somebody from your heart, you are not going to harm that person. In the same way, when you start feeling those responses in your heart, you can never do wrong, because they are now manifesting which were built within you. Because there was spirituality, there was that divinity which was built in, now it is manifesting. And then you do not worry about things and you do not do anything outwardly. It is said in Upanishads like Shandilya Upanishad, Kantopanishad, was these, that once you know the Brahma, then all the outside things like wearing a thread of Yagyopavita and all that should be thrown away. It's not necessary. Because now you got the sutra within yourself. Then you should give up all those outward things. Because inside is all built in now, is expressing itself. And such a person automatically becomes a yogi of a very high caliber. There was one gentleman in Calcutta. His name is Mr. Khan, though he is a Hindu gentleman and a great scientist of physics. He was developing those feelings. And one day he was taking his bath in a bathtub and fell down on his back. And it completely broke, and some of the splinters went into the brain. And he was in complete coma. So much so that doctors gave up complete hope about him, saying that he can never come back to life. And he was in the intensive care. But just before falling, he called responses, Ma. That's all. Then I was in Delhi, they informed me that he has fallen and this is what has happened. I said, all right. I just paid attention to him, gave a bandhan. Next day he opened his eyes. The doctors could not believe it. And then they removed him to another ward where surgeons went and said, we'll give you vibration. He said, but I'm not feeling any pain, nothing. He's looking 10 years younger now. It's so different. Now the experience, this is a complete thing for him now. He is absolutely into his divinity. So he says, Mother, I am a person now who doesn't think about anything, about life, death, about my children. Now I know who you are. I know that I'm under your protection. I don't have to worry. Another case was a Dr. Varlikar, who had a very bad heart, so they made a bypass for him. A great devotee. And his bypass went out of order perhaps, and he had a very massive heart attack. He again went into coma, they put him in the hospital. His aorta in the beginning was 80% clogged. So only 20% was open, there was no hope. So they did this bypass for him. And he just said, please send word to Mother. That he need not have done all also, but doesn't matter. And I just put bandhan to him. I was in Australia. He again was given up case. And they said, now how can we have another bypass? This pass is finished now. What should we do? They're about to operate him and thinking about it. When he opened his eyes, I told doctor, I'm feeling all right. I don't know what has happened. I'm feeling perfectly all right. Can I sit up? So the doctor couldn't understand. He felt his heart. He said his heart is doing very well. What has happened? So they put him on the test and they found out that his old aorta was opened out completely, which never happens in the history of medicine. Now this experience that he had about me is also because of his divinity that I could work on him. The connection was so good, and it worked. But if you mentally go on analyzing everything and mentally understanding Sahaja Yoga, you cannot reach that state of divinity from where you receive all the blessings. It starts pouring on you in every way. If you hear the way these people were helped, as far as the money was concerned, as far as the buildings were concerned, the transport was concerned, everything, as if somebody is working it out. Even if you are mentally Sahajogis, all these things work out. But you are definitely helped when your divinity is manifesting in a very, very big way. In such a big way that it is not possible otherwise. These are not miracles. For human beings, these might be miracles, but for God it is not. After all, the world He has created, the whole universes He has created, universes of universes He has created. So what is so great for Him? But this is the faith with experience, not a blind faith. Faith with experience and through introspection. Why do I do this? Why should I do like this? Why shouldn't you do like that? Is introspection should start. When you are introspecting, then this depth moves further, but more through meditation. That's why I always tell you that please get up in the morning, do your meditation, and get up in the evening and do your meditation. At least before going to bed, you should get to it. That's the only way you can go deeper into your divinity, which is the source of all creativity, source of all the innocence, is the source of all the knowledge and the source of all the joy. So when you get it into your Sahasrara, yes, it is true, Sahasrara was opened out. Because of that you got this mass realization. That's true. But now the quality has to go. Quantity is quite great. The quality has to grow of the Sahasrara. And the Sahasrara is the only instrument which is going to work out Sahaja Yoga in the modern times. If we realize that heart plays the most important role in Sahasrara. Just here is the heart center. How important it is that you have to recognize through your heart, otherwise this center won't open, then how do you get your realization? What a beautiful connection made, that this center here is the seat of the heart, is the pita of the heart, and this has to open out, then only Kundalini comes in. So all this machinery is connected and made in such a manner that you have to understand the importance of heart connected to this brain, which is absolutely integrated with heart. Sahasrara is the one to be preserved by putting left to the right, right to the left, and everything, opening it out, but by recognition. With introspection also you can ask, why can't I recognize that way? Why can't I do that way? What is my interest? Now if you come to Sahaja Yoga for making some sort of a power game, you want to have a power, you are finished. You want to have money or some sort of a business, you are finished. Anything else you try, like making something for your children or for your marriage or family or any such outward things, if you come to Sahaja Yoga, this won't work. But just to expand your heart, to spread your love to everyone, to feel their love within your heart, and then to put yourself into a position when it responds, the heart responds to divinity within you and to your mother with full mental activity of the heart. Today's subject may sound rather difficult for you to understand, but I had to say this one day because we are quite satisfied with a little of the Kundalini coming out of our head. There's so much to come out, so much divinity is there which has to come out. And if you have to ascend, and if you are the foundation of that new age which is going to transform the whole world, we'll have to work hard. We shouldn't say, I don't know how to get up in the morning, I don't know. You are on a war path. You are soldiers now. And you have to work it out if you have to fight the forces of ignorance and darkness. This has to be worked out. This has to be paid attention to. So what you have to do is to absolutely decide within yourself today that we are going to work it out in such a way that we all will become very powerful servants. And through us, the whole world is going to be saved. It's a very important thing for all of you to understand. Today is the Sahasrara day, which of course I agree that I opened the last chakra. But further to grow, you have to get to meditation where you become silent and your tree of life will grow in silence, not in a turmoil. If you understand that, please work it out in such a manner that you all become completely aware of your divinity by which you can see. If you have to see the image, you have to have a very good mirror. In the same way, if you have to feel the Mahamaya, you have to have a complete, pure divinity manifesting in you. May God bless you.